The Virginia House has just passed not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, but 8 gun control bills. Literally yesterday, last night, they passed 8 separate gun control bills. This is unlike anything we have ever seen. And I know you guys might be getting tired of me talking about Virginia, but genuinely, this is the most important thing happening in the Second Amendment right now. It just is. I'm going to go through each one of these bills. Some of them are minor, still an infringement on our rights. Some of them are insane, like the assault weapons ban that just passed the House literally yesterday, right? So these are crazy. And I think all of this raises a more important point, which we're going to discuss. If you are new here, though, please do subscribe. About 97% of you that watch this video are not subscribed. So if you are one in that 97%, please do consider subscribing. We really care on this channel about making the Second Amendment the forefront of people under the age of 25's minds in America today. Unfortunately, the Second Amendment has largely been swept under the rug in a lot of these discussions. A lot of people focus on the First Amendment. A lot of people focus on immigration. Both of them, very important. Abortion, very important, right? But we all know the right that underlies all those other fundamental rights and issues is the Second Amendment. Without it, nothing else matters. So if you're interested in that, please do subscribe down below. It really means a lot to me. All right, so what is going on in Virginia? What the hell is going on in Virginia? I know a lot of you are going to be frustrated. Another Virginia video? Yes, another Virginia video. And there will probably be a lot more to come. Virginia right now is at the epicenter of the anti-gun world, literally. You think California is bad? Wait till you see Virginia. That is the state we are getting into. The Virginia House and the Virginia Senate, along with Governor Spanberger, are turning Virginia as quickly as they can from a pretty free and open state to the most restrictive in the country. And they are doing this at a breakneck speed. I have never seen anti-gunners move this quickly, right? Historically, one of our big advantages over the left wing was that they're so disorganized, right? They're always infighting. They can never agree on anything. That's not the case here. They can agree on one thing, and that is they want to remove your fundamental constitutional protections. They floated a number of bills, right? They floated a mag ban with no grandfather clause, meaning that if you had a magazine with over 10 rounds, which is a perfectly normal magazine, and you just kept it in your house, you could literally, without reading the news, without knowing, just by continually possessing that, having bought it completely legally, you could be thrown in prison for up to a year, right? Again, these are laws designed entirely to make the lives of gun owners more difficult and to make people fearful of buying firearms. Okay, so what did they pass? They passed 8 separate gun control bills. And again, I'm going to go through each one of these individually very briefly. I know it may be a little bit boring. I know it may be, but it is very important to understand where the fight is. Whether you're in Virginia, whether you're in Vermont, whether you're in Texas, whether you're in Alaska, or honestly, whether you're in London, right? This is the epicenter of what's going on in the Second Amendment movement today. And that is relevant to everyone in America. And honestly, because America is really what protects the world's freedoms, to everyone in the world. This is genuinely significant. I know it may be boring, and I know I may have talked a lot about Virginia, but it is important. Okay, here are the bills. The first bill we're going to talk about is HB 217. The assault weapons ban. This is actually very interesting because it's defined more broadly than most of these assault weapons bans. It has a number of listed features like threaded barrel and stuff like that, but any gun, whether it's a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, that has a detachable magazine that can be loaded into the firearm, and one pull of the trigger is one bullet coming out, right, without needing to necessarily repeat it, right? Any firearm that qualifies under that regulation is banned in Virginia. Banned, right? Goes into effect. I think the provisional date is July 1st. Obviously, it has to pass the Senate for confirmation to be turned into a law, and it will definitely be signed by the governor, right? That's the first part of this bill. That's not even the first bill. That's the first part of this bill. The second part of this bill is banning private party purchase, which makes sense if you're doing the first part. And the third part of this bill is banning those large capacity magazines, right? Large capacity ammunition feeding devices. Anything over 10 rounds, banned. Just banned. HB 40, and by the way, I am going to go through these quickly and then make my whole big point at the end because I know there's a lot of these, so I'll just run through these really quickly. HB 40 is the ghost gun regulation, so it restricts ghost guns, which is obviously a propaganda term, and plastic firearms. So that's usually going to be your 3D printed firearms, that kind of thing. And basically, essentially, it bans plastic firearms having a less than a specific amount of metal and failing typical screening detection imaging. So like if you have a plastic firearm that you can like say take through a certain type of metal detector, that's just banned, and that is a felony, right? That's not a misdemeanor. The assault weapons ban is a class 1 misdemeanor, so that allows you to be put in prison for up to a year. This is a class 5 felony. So it is really bad, like really, really bad. It also bans and this is a very broad definition for this particular bill, unfinished frame or receiver. So any of that sort of thing is a class 1 misdemeanor, which is up to 12 months in prison, and then a class 4 felony for a second violation. HB 93, again, flying through these, it has to do with domestic abuse protective orders. So that's like restraining orders and domestic violence convictions. And essentially it bars you from owning a gun if you are currently under a restraining order or if you have domestic violence, misdemeanor, that kind of thing. This, by the way, is a felony. Again, not a misdemeanor. All right, HB 1110. And by the way, I get these are boring, but it is important to understand what they're doing because they are trying to overload the space. Normally, if they passed one of these, I would make a dedicated video on it, but they didn't. They passed 8. And so I have to cover it like this, and that's what they're banking on. They're banking on flooding the media space so that people basically can't get all the information into their heads, right? So that's basically what they're banking on. All right, HB 110, civil penalty for leaving handgun unattended in a motor vehicle. Essentially, it doesn't allow you to leave your gun in a car unless it's in a safe, secure lockbox, which actually most people is where they leave their gun probably won't qualify for this. I actually genuinely don't think you probably should. I think you should have a firearm on you and then move it into your car while you're there. But again, how most people carry their firearms in their car is now illegal under this. There's safe storage requirements, which requires a certain gun safe and that kind of thing. HB 229 is a sensitive places rule. It prohibits carrying firearms in certain hospitals, essentially like mental health and children's hospitals. HB 626 is another sensitive places rule. It has to do with limiting firearms in certain government buildings and a huge radius around them. So again, that's misdemeanor, but it's kind of a big deal because it actually, in Northern Virginia, actually expands to a lot of things. HB 871 is, again, safe storage rule. It requires you to keep your gun safe storage while at home, in a home where minors or prohibited individuals are present. So essentially, you have to have a state compliant gun safe and lock your firearm in there while you're at home if you have kids or there's someone else that can't have it. HB 21 is probably the biggest deal, actually, but no one's talking about it, is civil accountability for the firearm industry. Now, for a long, long time, firearm FFLs and firearm manufacturers have had protections against, someone buying a gun, like Daniel Defense, for instance, right? If someone buys a Daniel Defense firearm and uses it to shoot a bunch of people, you can't sue Daniel Defense. That makes sense, right? HB 21 essentially reverses that. It's a little bit more complicated than simplifying it that way, but essentially it allows you to directly sue people in the firearms industry for violations committed for them doing things that aren't illegal, and then someone else does something illegal with that firearm, right? If it was like reasonably foreseeable, which is a pretty broad definition, right? Then you can sue them directly, which is obviously very bad. Okay, so we covered all that, and I know I'm going quickly, I know I am, but it's very, very important that everyone understands what is going on in Virginia right now because it is just so tyrannical. Okay, so I know I covered that quickly, but I want to talk about why they're doing this. I think there's 2 basic reasons. First, these are too many laws. We cannot challenge them all. The reality is, Firearms Policy Coalition, right? Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, to some extent the NRA, they only have so much money, and there's only so many lawsuits they can run at once, right? That's the reality. There are too many anti-gun regulations for them to sue them all at one time. So what they are doing essentially here is they are flooding the space. They are producing just literally yesterday. They passed 8, right? They could, tomorrow pass another 8 if they wanted to. They are flooding the space to produce so many regulations that these will essentially not be able to be knocked out for a long period of time. The point isn't that these are lawful. The point isn't that these aren't going to be knocked out eventually. The point is that the process is itself the punishment, right? This is going to scare gun owners. It is going to worry gun owners, and it should. And that is the entire point of this, right? They do not think, obviously they don't think that this is for public safety. They don't think that. And they don't even think, by the way, that these are going to be constitutionally protected. They don't think that the Supreme Court is going to okay these. What they do think, though, is that the pro-gun side will have too much on their plate and won't be able to knock out all these laws. And they are probably, sadly, right. This will probably work. In my opinion, this will probably work. A lot of these will get knocked out, but a lot of these won't for a while. We might get, temporary restraining orders, TROs, and that kind of thing. But on balance, they're doing a very good job scaring gun owners. The point of this is to scare people into not buying guns, right? To not be gun owners. And probably it's working. I genuinely think this is a good strategy, and I genuinely think Virginia, the anti-gunners in Virginia, will probably win. Right? I think they're actually doing a good job for their side with this, which is tremendously sad, and that's why I'm covering it so much. But yeah, I mean, it's just really bad. It's a really, really bleak state in Virginia. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wish I could tell you that it's actually not as bad as people are saying, and I say that sometimes. I'm not going to say that today. It is as bad as people are saying. It's going to get worse, and that's just the reality. I don't know. Maybe you can disagree with me. Seriously, if you disagree with me, let me know. But, I mean, I respond to a ton of comments, right? I read and respond to basically all the comments. But, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I basically don't think this will be okay in the state of Virginia. I really don't. And that's just my genuine opinion on it. I really wish I could give you, sunshines and rainbows, but I can't always. So that's my genuine opinion on it. I want to hear if you guys disagree. If you did enjoy the video, though, probably not enjoy is the right word. If you did find value in the video, though, please do subscribe down below if you're new. I really, really appreciate you all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.